So good afternoon, everybody. I take the honor of very briefly introducing Manna, but before that, I'll just take a minute and a half for those who are joining us new. Some have been with us through the day from morning. I really thank you for that. This event, She Evolves, is brought to you by ICE. ICE Trust focuses on the theme of new education, new creation, new development. How can we bring new light and energy into all the areas of our life and work? And thus we concentrate on 5 different areas like healing, nature, women, empowerment, education, and also what we are now referring as youth above 60, how we can also support them to give space so that they could continue to flower till a very ripe age. She Evolves is a theme which is very dear for many of us who are anchoring this project. It's really about the stories of very simple women who, through life experiences and inner work, become extraordinarily simple, extraordinary human beings. And it is to listen to their stories, it's to listen to their journey, and in a way that we get inspired that the She Evolves functions. Today, being is for Women's Day. We're doing it on a Sunday so that it's easy for people to come in. And we have these 12 different and extraordinary and simple women that we are trying to connect through the day. So what we have also done is with each of them we connected before and attempt to feel their essence. And we've been trying our best for each flyer to bring their essence in. And one of the things I deeply touched in me when I was connecting to Manna and listened to her story is her being, is full of courage, is full of strength, is full of love, kindness, and compassion. And that's one of the things that really stands out. She works a lot with kids. I'm not going to formally introduce her because let it come organically. She works a lot with students, kids. She teaches English. Her teaching incorporates the mental health of the learners. This taught through a mode of self-improvement. She loves taking the simple, so-called, weak people and really build the courage in them, the confidence in them, and watch them bloom. Over to you, Manna. We are all here to soak in your presence and learn from your inspirations.
Thank you so much, Arul, and thank you to all those who are listening to me. What a wonderful opportunity, and what a way to spend the Sunday afternoon. The International Women's Day of this year is definitely going down in my history. This is awesome. For all the experiences that I've had, I've always wanted to narrate my story. I'm over enthusiastic when it comes to wanting to narrate my story. I'll definitely try and keep it to 30 minutes. Living 66 years and having to bring it all down to 30 minutes. So I have picked here and there what really matters to women and to all those who are around that woman. So it can be your family, your co-workers, your community. So this, what I'm going to say, is for everyone, not just for women, for all those who are surrounding women. And in my case, this is from the experiences I've had of people who are around me. So it showed my name and said compassionate teacher. So let me start off with the story of how teaching began and why did I choose teaching. At the age of 3, I started saying I was sent to a preschool, and within a week, I started telling my parents, I want to be a teacher. So every day when I finish my school and I come back, it's about 2.5 hours. I'll be back by about 12 o'clock. And as soon as I come in, even before my mom can give me lunch or wash me up and clear, I go into this replay mode, and I have to let my parents listen to all that happened in school that day. And I throw a tantrum if they don't listen to me. Every single thing that the teacher did, the way she stood, I would go to the board. See, this is so many years back, more than 60 years back. So it was still the board and writing the A and drawing the apple and things like that. So I would do that. And if they get distracted, I would get very angry with them. But I'm talking them, meaning my father and my mother. They have to be really listening into me. So this went on. And then, of course, teenage came in. And then I started seeing the romance of different jobs, being a doctor, being an engineer. I never wanted to be a doctor. Now, you have to understand, I'm not talking about me now. I'm talking about when I was young and growing up, and at 16. My apologies to any doctors if you're in this group and listening, but I thought doctors were dirty people because they were touching all the sick people. So I never wanted to become a doctor. But an engineer, it was all paper and, mechanical or civil. That I thought was a clean job. I can keep my hands clean. Don't have to touch the so-called dirty people. So engineering became a fascination. And I was very good in mathematics, science subjects, very good. So I started dreaming about becoming an engineer. The dream was there. Maybe I did matriculation, so my 11th grade, and then probably the first year of PU. I think during my PU years, I did all the studies. If you see the amount of studies I put in during my 1 year of PU, it is definitely more than what I did for all the other, because I was a very easygoing person, not the good girl in that class. I was a teacher's nightmare. But that PU, I worked really hard, because those days you could get into an engineering college with, on merit. And my father, one thing he told me is, I'm not going to go after recommendation. You can do it on merit. Go ahead and do it on merit. So all my focus, and I was like, no distractions, I'm going to, and I did score very well. I got 100% in my math, and I was sure I'm going for engineering. And then they dropped the bombshell on me. You don't have to go into a professional college because you're a girl. So that was the first shock. Now, I grew up in a home, a very loving home, always surrounded by men. I'm an only daughter, 4 loving brothers, 1 amazing father. And then later on in life, I had 2 sons. So my life is surrounded by men, and all of them such amazing people. So even if I've had, men other in workplaces or in personal relationships or in friendships who have not treated me well, I don't count them, because I have these 7 people who are around me all the time. So for me, that's all that matters. They are wonderful people. And I think there are many more wonderful men like them in the world. I never think that they are the only 7 good people on earth. No, there are many like them, and they are the ones who make me. I just leave everybody else out. And as you hear my story, you will see that one of my thing is anything that brings me negative vibes, that stays out. Okay. I just keep them away. I don't try to refine them. I don't try to argue. I don't try to defend myself. I'm like, oh, this is bad, needs to go. So they are, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's working for me. Okay. So then that was not sending me for engineering was the first of the many things as I'm growing into adulthood that I had to face. So there were things like take a step back because of my gender. So one was this education. Another one was, so you are a girl. Therefore, you can't go for the movies without us parents, but all the boys in the house could go. I resented it, but there's nothing I could do. I couldn't do anything. They just wouldn't send me. Then again, as I grew up and, marriage and family, then it becomes, we all sat around the same dining table in my house, but then that changed. Men eat first. The women have to wait. No matter how hungry you are, you have to wait. I have not rebelled against those things, but I have stored resentment inside me. Why? I'm hungry. Shouldn't I be eating? I can't wait for all the men in the house to finish. I'm talking about when we have gatherings, like all the family come together and things. Not just my home. My home was never like that. Even when I had my children, for us, the dining table is a sacred place. We all sit together, talk, eat. But when in different places, even when you go for a function to someone's house, let the men eat first. So I somehow um, didn't see eye to eye with those kind of things. And then when it comes to a public place in the community, you are a woman, so you don't talk. You are a woman, just listen. So even if they are asking for an opinion, you're not allowed to give your opinion unless it is what everybody wants to hear. So that need not always be my opinion, right? I might have a different thing to say. So their thing was, you don't, just listen. And if I start speaking, many times that I've been shushed, like, I have something to say. So all these things told me, and I started feeling suffocation. I started feeling that this is not who I am. And let me tell you, I'm not one of those feminists who says women. No, I'm not that at all. I am just me. And I'm a vibrant, enthusiastic, energetic, positive person. So I will have opinion about things. I may want to say things which you don't agree with. That doesn't mean I'm putting you down, but please listen to me, give me a ear. And that was not allowed. So I started building up the resentment. After 4 decades of feeling trapped, I broke free from all this. And while breaking free, my only concern was my 2 sons. Okay. And I just had to follow what the airlines always tells you. When there is an emergency, pull the oxygen mask coat and then help the person who is sitting next to you. So if I was going to stay back and take care of my children, I wouldn't have done it. So leaving them behind and moving on may not have been the best for them. And I know it. If you ask me, is there a regret? At times there is a regret, but watching them live their lives now as married young men with their own children, watching the way they run their home, they take care of their wives. I don't know if it's anything I did. Maybe the things I didn't do, they have turned out well. So when I look at them, no regret. When I sit by myself, sometimes I wish I had spent some time with them, but it had to be that way for me to evolve. And life takes me through, winding, turning, and finally, I'm going. This is my story. Finally, it brings me to a job. For 8 years, I worked as a teacher. I've been doing teaching jobs in India, but for 8 years, I had this very special job as a teacher. So you might say, okay, we know so many teachers. So what can be so special? What was special, number one, about this job is that I was a single teacher handling a classroom. The classroom has students. It's a one-room classroom. There are students from grade 1 through to 12. And I was a single teacher doing all the subjects for all the grades and all levels. Now that is interesting because in my class, I might have 3, let's say, second graders, but each of them would be in different levels. And I'll explain that in a little bit. And so that itself, running a one-room classroom of different students, different age groups, different grades, all sitting together. And I had to run the school. And this was in the United States. And this school was happening on a traveling show. Okay, so it's interesting how I'm nervous to use the real word. Even when I got the job and I had to call people in India and tell them I got the job with this particular company, I did not use the real word. I just said I'm a traveling teacher. And then I said I'm an on-location educator. I don't think it made much sense to people here because what is she talking about? The truth was I was working for a circus company, which was traveling all over the United States. And they hired me as their on-location teacher, which means the circus had children who were under the age of 18. And by US law, all of them had to attend school. So they needed to have a school running in the circus, and I got hired. And I'm very proud of something. This circus was a company which was 146 years old. Okay, they shut down in 2017, logistics, but I left before that. 146 years, the only Indian to have worked for that company, and a woman. Now, come on, I need an applause for that, right? So I stood there. Thank you, Uma. So I stood through that. Believe you me, it was not easy. Not easy at all. One, I'm away from home. I'm living by myself. Two, I don't have a clue what I'm supposed to do. In fact, nobody had a clue what the teacher is supposed to do. Now, you look at it from a purely business point of view. The circus is not a school. Circus is an entertainment industry, and their goal is to make profit, to make money. Okay, so there's this particular school doesn't make any money. We only use up the fund to buy books for everything else that a classroom needs and to pay the teacher. So really, this is not a priority. Being a teacher was not a priority for the circus. Initially, when I took it up, I was like, it was like the blind feeling the elephant, the story of the 4 blind people and the elephant. It's kind of like that. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to teach? And you look at this first grader and then you look at the 12th grader. I have not done botany, by the way. No idea of what it is. But I had a 10th grader who had biology. So I had to take the 10th grade biology book every day home, learn the chapter, understand what it is, use my best buddy, Google, figure out something, go back and teach her the next day. So this was not at all easy. One challenge was that subject-wise. The second was the way the circus works is the people employed there have a contract for 2 years, okay? So in the 2 years, you get a badge, and then that show is over, and then they put together a new show, and another batch of them comes for the next 2 years. So you get people at any given point of time at the unit. We would have 25 to 27 different nationalities living together, no common language. We had Chinese, we had South Americans, we had Europeans from all parts of the world. We had Russians, we had Ukrainians, okay, from all parts of the world. Most of them didn't know how to speak English, and these kids come and sit in my class. So job number one, find a way to communicate. I mean, obviously, in the 2 years, I'm not going to teach them alphabets and phonetics and then teach them to read. I used my hands, my eyes, my ears, drew pictures. Those of you who play Pictionary, you know how it is. Give a word, you have to draw. So I am very, very bad at drawing. Kokila, if you're around, hats off to you. I can't draw a straight line. So I used all this to teach the children. And kids are very, very quick to grasp what is happening. So this one particular girl came from Mexico. She speaks only Spanish. And I had to over and over and over get her to say good morning. Like you walk into the class, please say good morning to me. She couldn't. This same child, by the end of 2 months, all you would hear in my class is, Nayeli, stop talking. Nayeli, stop talking. She was so fluent and she got along with it. Beautiful, sweet girl. She's a teenager now. And I'm in touch with all my students, okay, even now. So it's so I'm so happy when I hear from them, and all of them have that love and that attachment to me, which tells me, not knowingly, not that I planned, but I have made a difference in their life. And that is what I like, because I did not have a blueprint. I just leapt into something, into the unknown, and then I figured my way out. I did this for 8 years. Now, the interesting part, we go from one city to another. Every week I'm in a new city. Okay, we don't play in just one place. It is this week, let's say we are in Boston this week. Next week we are in New York, and then we are in Philadelphia, and this goes on and on and on. I'm just going to say something here. I'm not very savvy with this whole thing. Is there any message coming for me? I'm thinking one of you will read it out to me. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So because I hear that click, and I'm like, oh my God, is someone asking me something? So I'm going to leave that responsibility to you, because I can't do both. I can't read the message and speak at the same time. Sorry. So we travel from one city to another. So this week, if I'm in New York, next week I'm in Philadelphia. Okay. So the natural question would be, and how did you do it? So where did you live? So this was my first question when I went for the interview to the general manager. Okay, I kind of understand it's a circus and I have to do something. Where do I live? And he said, yeah, come with me, I'll show you. And he takes me through, on his truck. So I jump into truck with anyone, okay? Anyone who says, come, I'll show you, and I'm there. Now, on looking back at the age of 66, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, who are these people? They send me a ticket and they say, come to Detroit, and I fly to Detroit without asking any questions. They put me up in a hotel, again, no questions. And then he says, come, I'll show you where you live. So I hop into his truck, and that was the first time during the offer of the job and the interview, my heart started pounding, because I suddenly thought of both my children, who were by then, they were in Chennai in MCC. And I started thinking, and I'm like, I don't know this man. I don't know where he's taking me. My family back home has no clue that I am now in Detroit and not in Chicago, where I was prim and proper and working for a convent. Okay, it was a convent school, so everything was very proper and everyone was very happy. Am I safe? Am I in this place, in this convent? She has an accommodation on the campus. So everything is going fine. And I do this jump and go. So I felt my eyes fill up with tears, suddenly homesick, suddenly, like I think I should just go back. But then that's me. I said, what the heck, we'll see what happens. And then he goes into this yard, which is full of railway tracks, bumpy over the tracks. And then he goes and suddenly points to the left and says, welcome to your new home. And then I see this train, silver paint, which had the logo on every coach, which said greatest show on earth. And I'm like, okay, this is a train, but where am I going to live? Then he stops in front of one of the coaches, jumps off, and he says, follow me. I obediently follow him. So we climb onto the coach, opens the door, and he shows me this 7x12 room. 7x12, there's a bunk bed on one side. On the other side, there's a small stove, there's a sink, there's a microwave, there's a refrigerator, and a lot of storage places on top. He tells me, welcome to your new home. Now, this is an interview. I haven't said I'll take the job. He hasn't offered the job, but he said, welcome to your new home. And I knew they had made up their mind to take me. I just looked around and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I said yes. I said, okay, I'm taking it. So 2 weeks from then, I joined. So I lived on a train for 8 years. And all my adventures of what happened on the train, how, I also had 2 cats. Okay, I wasn't alone. I had pets. I had 2 cats with me in that little room. My only condition to the accommodation was, typical Indian snobbery. I needed to have my own bathroom. I was not willing to share it with any other nationality. Yeah. So I asked, and he showed me a beautiful bathroom. There was this toilet and separated by a shower stall. So I could take a shower, not a bath. Okay, but good enough for me. 24 hours water, running water, hot water, cold water, whatever you want to get. And there was what we call the pie car. Pie car is actually the, what can you call, pantry car, where they cook. So food is very reasonable. So I get paid and I get to see the entire United States free of charge. I get food on discount. I don't pay any bills, none whatsoever. No rent, no electricity, no telephone bill unless I use my personal phone. I wanted better internet connectivity, so I did get a dongle because I had to be connected with my children. That was my expense. So 8 years I lived like that. During which time I did bring one son over to the United. I did take him with me to the United States, and he finished his master's there. I could not take the second one. A regret list that is there. The thing is, by then I was getting tired because what I'm telling you now is all the good side and the flowery side. But there is the other side. My mother passed away. I couldn't come down. There are things happening, real things happening back home where I'm not a part of it. Okay. I was not ready also to come back and take the beating that I would get from my community and from the family. I wasn't prepared for that either. But my 8 years on this circus, all right, it taught me some things. 8 years taught me that what is all the differences we talk about? Here I am living with strangers, absolute strangers from 27 different countries who don't speak my language. We communicate every single day. If they can't do anything, they'll say, teacher, that's love. And that was enough for me. That would fill me up. They don't know. They can't speak. My first week, we have a shuttle bus that would take us from the train to the arena. The arena is where the show is, and they allot a room from the arena. Arena has a number of rooms, which they turn into actually dressing rooms for the performers, but the teacher gets a room to be converted into a school room. So when I go into a new town, my first job is go find my room. Nobody tells you where it is. So you'll be walking around the arena, and then somebody will say, oh, school room is on the 3rd floor. So then you start walking again. On the 3rd floor, someone will say, yeah, we changed it to the 2nd floor. Then you come and check. So it's that itself is a circus. But once I get into the room, there are 2 huge boxes, wooden boxes. One can be opened on both sides, and the other one is opened on one side. Now, these 2 boxes carry the entire school. So the first time I had to open the box and look into it, I was thinking, how am I going to run a school with, just this? But after 8 years, I laugh now when I hear teachers or other people fight with management for supplies. We don't have enough funds. We don't have this. I learned how to be creative. We don't have something, then I create it. If there is no a particular tool in the class and that particular city cannot give it, I postpone that course to that particular chapter to another day, thinking we get the list of the cities we are visiting. So I get to go through everything and find out the history of the place and what are the places that I can take the children for field trips. Field trips were a very big thing, which is usually a fun thing. Everybody thinks it's a fun thing. But for me, field trip was something where I had to prepare a lot in order to So when the kids go there, those who are learning, say, for example, in mathematics, if there's someone learning area, then they will be carrying their rulers or their, measuring tapes with them. They have to carry a little notebook. They have to measure things that I point out. They'll have to go around, ask questions to the people who run, say, for example, a museum. They will have to go and find out from them. How did, for example, the Statue of Liberty, everybody knows about. How did the Statue of Liberty get to be where it is? It came in 3 parts. It was a gift from France. It was assembled together in Madison Square Garden. See, this is history, and the children do not learn it from a book. They learn from experience. So you take them, which means I have to do my homework. And then when I'm in that town, I go to the arena. We play in Madison Square Garden. So I would go and meet somebody who is in charge there, introduce myself, and I'll say, can you take me to exactly the place where the first part of the statue came in? Where was it assembled? And then I take the kids and say, hey, remember we learned about the Statue of Liberty? This is where the French sent, and this is where they unpacked it. Now, it's a real experience going through Smithsonian Museum, actually going. And so here's the thing, when you go into a museum and places like that, and if you say you're coming from this particular circus, they're very interested in you. You know why? They offer to take you backstage and show you things very helpful, simply because they get passes to come to the circus. And we do carry passes in our pocket. And just give them a pass, 4 passes, come with your family and see the show. And then you get to see all that is happening behind a huge museum. So the learning for them, for me, never once have I felt, made to feel I'm inferior. Never once have I felt I'm better than someone else. Never once has that feeling come that, I'm a teacher. And here's the other thing. While I was in India, one of the things that people who knew us, family, friends, and extended family, one of the things that people always poked fun of or had these remarks about me was, I'm scattered and I'm all over the place. I didn't have a plan for my education. Okay. So I did have a plan. Remember, I told you I did have a plan that was cut off with the, nipped in the bud. So I did BSc Math, then I did MA Literature, then I did Special Ed, then I did Family Counseling, then I did Family Counseling again. And in the middle of all this, I even went and did a Travel and Tourism certification, IATA. I don't know why I did it, but I did it, okay? Never used it, can't remember a thing. But when I went to the US, and so people are like, you can't make up your mind what you want to do, like from maths to literature to this. US, I went, and when I went for the first job, they said, we need all your papers. It has to be evaluated here. And only if it is equivalent to the US thing, I will get my teaching certificate. My first job was teaching in a special school. So I gave this, my heart sank, because then what you hear in your head is all these remarks that you heard, like, you're just wasting your time running from one course to another, no meaning in your education, no focus in your education. Believe me, every single paper that we called certificate that was submitted was approved by the United States Department of Education, and I got my certification to teach, okay? This whole story might seem like a bragging session, but I have to say, what was my strength? In all humility, it was the Almighty's grace. Every step of the way, it was the grace from my Almighty, who kind of went ahead of me, opened doors, opened pathway for me, which I never knew existed. Yesterday, I was talking to someone, and in the course of the conversation, the road less traveled, I said, see, I don't take even that. I look for a road which has brambles, cut it down, make a pathway and take it. That is how I live. I don't take the common route that everybody takes. Then he said, do you take the road less traveled? And I would say, no. I make my own pathway and I take it. And that I have been able to do only because of the grace of God and only because of the faith that I have held on throughout this whole thing. When I missed my children, for those who are mothers and have children, parents, not just mothers, parents and who have children. My youngest son, he was with me for a little while. In between, there was a stopover at Kuwait, okay? So it's from Kuwait, I worked for an American school. That was like a stop and then jump to the US. I left him. He finished his 12th and I sent him to India to join college after his 12th. And then I was seeing him on his wedding day. Now you tell me, how hard is that? Every single day it would break my heart that I'm not there for him. But I made it. I made it. He made it. He has an amazing partner who he met the day he walked into college, I think. So we have this joke in the family. The longest relationship in our family is my youngest son and wife, because they met in 2002. And this is 2022. They have been together for 22 years through their undergraduation and later and work, and then they got married. So she, I think, was a very strong support for him, like me being away. And these children having to answer questions from everybody. Where is mommy? Why is mommy not coming back? And all that. I know my children have gone through a lot, and I respect them for respecting me still in spite of that. So, you know, while I thank God for that grace, it is grace. It is not merit. It is just pure grace that has taken me from then to now. I'm going to take a sip of water. Anybody has any questions, I'll take it over. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We have a little bit, few minutes more. So if anybody wants to ask any question, and then Priya, anybody wants to ask any question?
Meanwhile, I think Kokila's comment, Manna, was, come to my Zentangle class, Manna ma'am, you will discover the artist in you. You don't have to draw a straight line to be an artist. And I'm sure you have a brilliant one sitting inside waiting to be discovered back.
That's very sweet. Yeah, I think someday I should do it. You know, that's one of the clearing the brambles to make a pathway. Now, something that I've never done before. I like that challenge, Kokila. Thank you so much.
Another road to be created.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, everyone. I have a question. Mananti, I know Mananti through her Trivandrum. I've always looked at her with a lot of respect and love. And I have interacted with her very few times. Then the way the voice with which she speaks out her story is actually brilliant. She just said there was no shortcut, there was no way. And then she said she just paved a way on which she treaded. So Mananti, when you were faced with so many experiences, now you just said that in Kuwait you had to leave your kid who had just passed 12th standard, and then you met him on his wedding day. Yes. I am a single mom too, and my child is leaving for college in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. I am dropping her to Jorhat NID in the next 2 weeks. So I know that, she might not come back. She might not fly back here after her BDES. She plans to go abroad to continue her education. So probably it might be the same kind of situation when I meet her next. So how did you keep that connect between you and the children? You had 2 children. So how did you maintain that connect Now you say that you have a very beautiful relationship with your children. They're happily married. If they have secure relationships right now, as a single mother, we have to pave the foundation for them to have secure relationships in the future. So this is my question to you. How did you keep that connect going, and how did you help them to become successful, secure individuals?
Okay.
And I believe that it's not just education and it's not just being successful in life, but having successful relationships as well that pave the, look at and that bring up the success of a person.
Right. One thing, right from the time we all had to go our separate, what was once a unit, father, mother, kids, and then we all get disconnected. Right from that time, one of the things I made sure is tried my best not to pass my insecurities on to them, but always, even from a distance, try to be the person on whom they can depend. Okay, we have our insecurities, and in order to share that, you need to find your support system. It could be friends. If you're very, very lucky, it could be your family to whom you can call and cry and talk how terrible it is. You're feeling your daughter is leaving. What will I do? But the answer to good future young people, I think, Jiju, is letting them go, trusting them. You have been with her all these years. These were the formative years. You've given her the value. Now, when you send her out, is your examination time. You're going to sit and see, how did I fare these 17, 18 years, right? Yeah. And just sit back. It's not going to be perfect. They will make mistakes. But what your daughter needs to know is, if she feels she's trapped and nowhere else to go, you are the one she needs to come to. And if you can create that feeling in her, okay, then doesn't matter where she goes, doesn't matter how many times she gets into trouble. The reason she's not coming back to you is because you've made her strong enough to handle it herself. But as a mother, you might panic. Oh my God, my daughter's gone there and she's got COVID. What will she do? She'll manage, because you have given her the strength. We have to stop thinking that we are in control of our children's life. And even now, my second son had a COVID baby, if you know what I mean, right in the peak of COVID. He had, in the month of April, with all the lockdown, he had baby. In the same city that I was in, just a few kilometers away from where I was staying, I could not do a thing. And there were big plans that I would go, I would stay with them, and I would do this. Nothing. My daughter-in-law just, boom, out of the blue, she decided, okay, today I'm going to have the baby she had, which was not in the plan. And when that happens, much as it hurts and creates tension, let it go. Let the Almighty be in control. I couldn't see the baby for months after the baby was born. It's not like I was in a different place. I was in the same town as they were. That strength to let go, the strength to understand it is not me who is in charge of my life, but something beyond. And you ask yourself, have I given her the right values? Have I taught her to respect people? Have I taught her to be honest? Have I taught her to be straightforward? And then let go. Then let her make the changes that suits her life and move forward. Thank you for that question, Jiju. I hope I threw some light on it. Yes.
Yeah, I guess spirituality also helps. Like that's what you said, right? A foundation, a spiritual foundation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
May I just ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Or share a thought, like what the secret to what Jiju said, when children grow up and they leave the home and go.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that you chose the time to also fly out of the nest.
Fly out. Yeah. They didn't let me do it.
Nest syndrome. You went out so that where you go. I mean, it is a daring decision to be out of without the family for 8 years and contribute to so many children's lives.
Yeah.
Not everybody is capable of that decision. So I admire that. And how did you arrive at it? I mean, you described it, etc. But there is an inner core which says, this is my calling, or this is my this thing. What was your experience?
You mean a calling to work for the circus?
Yeah, for such a unique opportunity of...
Yeah. So I was not planning to work for them. I was, like I told you, I was in this convent, a Catholic institution. You know, it can't get better than that. You're very safe in that environment, you think. But it was very boring. I'm a person who wants my adrenaline pumping all the time, okay? That was too boring for me. So what I did was I used to browse through jobs and I saw this traveling teacher.
Oh.
And I was like, traveling teacher, how does that work? So I applied so that if they call me, I can ask questions and find out what a traveling teacher is, not to take up the job. So it was not like, that's what I said. There was no blueprint. There was no plan. It's just go with the flow, you know? So yeah, it was not, I'm going to go there and work for the circus. I didn't even know the circus existed. So a traveling teacher, and they were very careful not to say circus in the ad, because very difficult to get people, because family people will not go. You're away from home, you're from one city to another. So they kept it to traveling teacher, and my curiosity is what got me that job. Thank you for that question.
That's amazing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. And
Ma'am, I have a question. I mean, was it kind of not hard? I mean, the sense that, you know, today, even if you work for 12 or 14 hours and then you come back and then everyone is near, typically even your own parents are like, you're not taking care. I mean, they kind of make you feel so guilty, right? I mean, everybody is like, as a mother, what you should do, as a mother, what you should do,
Right.
more than your own. So how were you able to really overcome that, you know?
People asking me, how am I managing without...
Yeah. So they become so judgmental about you, and then so it's like, you know, you have your own thing to drive in your own, what you want to do, and then you have always your family or your friends kind of constantly, you know, judging you that you're not being a good mother. So how do you really handle that kind of an internal battle, you know, really?
I didn't have that battle when I was in the United States. But think about
That's
United
nice,
States.
ma'am.
Yes, the thing is, people take you for, see, this is my other message. They take you for who you are, not what you are. Manna, the individual who is here to teach our children. In the United States, nobody asks you, who's your husband? Where are your children? What are they doing? Are they married? Are they having kids? No one cares. It's not no one cares. Those are private areas and people respect your privacy. So one of the reasons why I ran away from India was to avoid this. Because we, you know, as a community, I don't have to say that the fact that you asked this question, they will torment you and will never, ever allow you to be who you are. So I couldn't take that anymore. And so I had to distance myself when I started, I said, from any negativity, and then rebuild myself and come back. And in the process, I have to say this, in the process, one of the first steps I took was forgive people who hurt me. I knew I had to forgive people who hurt me. More than leaving my children and going, that was a bigger battle. People who hurt me, people who are doing harm to me, the community, whoever it is, I had to I had to make it a decision to forgive, let go of those people. They don't matter anymore. I have things to do in my life. Forgiveness was one thing. And when forgiveness comes, kindness and compassionate comes in to fill the vacuum. You know, all the anger and bitterness that you hold is holding your heart like this. Once you set that, there's a vacuum and can never be empty. And refill it with kindness and compassion, which the school taught me. Taking time for the Mexican kid to teach the language. I also had to brush the teeth, comb the hair of children, because sometimes parents don't have the time to do that in the morning. They're running for the show. So I had toothbrush and towels in my class, so I could brush their teeth when they come in. There were Tetra packs of juice and snack. And you know, this is interesting. the nice biscuits that we get here in India. It's called nice biscuits. They loved it. So the cupboard, the box would have nice biscuits, a packet of that, and juice. So it's, I was a mother at times. I'm a counselor at times. I'm a teacher. Everything rolled into one.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. A real story of, grit and I think courage, I would say. Thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Manna ma'am, for joining us and sharing your story. And it's really, really wonderful. And I remember when we spoke, you said about, you represent, a doe. Generally very calm and quite okay. But then, yeah, when you are being forced or when you are put into certain situations, then, yeah, there is no looking back.
Yeah.
So I think you have showcased that story to all of us. Very inspiring, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya.
And we would request you to just take a few minutes to, Uma shared a link, the Mentimeter link. This is basically to just capture the qualities that has emanated out of ma'am's sharing. So if you can take a minute to do that. We are running a little, short of time because the next speaker would be coming in another 10 minutes time. So please stay with us for the next speaker session. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Manna.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. Everyone, thanks for listening in patiently. Thank you.